Chag Sameach, which is happy holiday in Hebrew, Sukkot. I'm sitting in my sukkah that my wonderful daughter constructed for me since we had to travel up to Kansas for her my other daughter's wedding. And sitting here, I have some things coming up here in a few minutes, but I thought I'd make a video about the things that trap us. And this was written many years ago, but from one of my teachers, Tim Hegg. It is instructive for us to consider those categories that Solomon, or Shlomo, teaches in our traps, those things that appear to be source of lasting joy, but are not. We can trace his thoughts by looking for what he labels vapor, or vapor of vapors, a Hebrew way of saying thinnest of vapors. The money trap. Shlomo, or Solomon, was the wealthiest man of his time. Whatever he wanted, he could buy. His storehouse was literally without end. Shlomo no doubt experienced the sheer love of gold and money, monetary ability. Stockpiling it must have become a driving force for him at one point in his life. Some think that through their love of money and power it brings, they will find meaning and joy in life. Shlomo, or Solomon, most likely tongue-in-cheek, even says that money is the answer to everything, which is in Kohelet, or Ecclesiastes 10:19. Consider verses 4:8 and 5:10. There was certain man without a dependent, having neither a son nor brother, yet there was no end to all his labor. Indeed, his eyes were not satisfied with riches, and he never asked, "And for whom am I laboring and depriving myself of pleasure? This too is a vapor, and it is a grievous task. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves abundance with its income. This too is a vapor." Usually those who are the lower rung of the economic ladder are the ones who fall into this trap. They think that if they had money, the woes that so disparage their lives would vanish. I have to find my reader. Hold on. There we go. So their happiness is set upon the elusive dream of being rich, or at least rich enough for the necessities and a few extras. But take a word of wisdom from the richest man of the ancient Near East. Money is not the path to meaning in our lives, nor to joy. While it is important and necessary, and one who has money has many advantages, it too is a vapor. One's entire life savings can vanish in a day. In fact, the money trap is also set for those who think the future can be secured by it. Note verse 6, 1 through 2, or chapter 6, verse 1 through 2. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is prevalent among men, a man to whom God has given riches and wealth and honor, so that his soul lacks nothing of all that he desires, yet God has not empowered him to eat from them. For a foreigner enjoys them. This is a vapor and a severe affliction. In the uncertainty of world events, and this was as much true in the ancient times as it is now, money may offer little or no advantage. Some would foolishly believe that possessions gained through money bring lasting joy, but Shlomo, or Solomon, tells us differently in chapter 6, 7 and 9. All a man's labor is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not satisfied. For what advantage does the wise man have over the fool? What advantage does the poor man have, knowing how to walk before the living? What the eyes see is better than what the soul desires. This too is a vapor and a striving after wind. The point is clear. While money is important and necessary, it cannot bring genuine meaning and joy to life, and anyone who thinks it can is holding on to a vapor. The power trap. A second trap Shlomo warns us about is the power trap. This is the trap of trying to secure family prestige, name, or advantages to overcome the contingencies of life. This trap presents in itself a number of ways. The first is by trying to have such a family name that everyone connected will automatically receive meaning and joy in life. Chapter 6, verse 3 through 6. If a man's father If a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, however many they be, but his soul is not satisfied with good things, and he does not even have a proper burial, then I say, better is the miscarriage than he, for it comes in futility and goes in obscurity, and its name is covered in obscurity. It never sees the sun, and it never knows anything. It is better off than he. Even if the other man lives 1,000 years twice, and does not enjoy good things, do not all go to one place. Throughout the history of mankind, the attempt to procure a family dynasty, whether in royal lineage or in political power, has been evident. Some have succeeded in making their extended family a name to be reckoned with throughout many generations. Yet Shlomo or Solomon wisely reminds us that death comes to everyone, and that success of the next generation can never be guaranteed. This gives way to a second trap, securing the future for our children in order to guarantee their joy. Thus, I hated all the fruit of my labor. Let's make sure I have that right page. Yes. Thus, I hated all the fruit of my labor for which I had labored under the sun. For I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool. Yet he will have control over all the fruit of my labor, for which I have labored by acting wisely under the sun. This too is a vapor. And this is in chapter 2 and chapter 4, verses 18, 19, 13 through 16. We have all known people who have poured their lives into making a future for their children, trying to prepare our kids for the future and doing all in our power to help them succeed in the future is good. But thinking we can guarantee the future for them is a trap and a passing vapor. All our labor and plans can be brought to nothing in a moment. We cannot find lasting meaning and joy in life by feeling we have secured the future for our children. This leads to a third trap, the trap of fear. Some parents are so fearful for their children's future that they are unable to enjoy them as children. Intent on every aspect of their children's preparation for adulthood, they allow the innocence of the childhood to be pushed aside for what they think will guarantee their future, but this is an illusion. Shlomo does not teach us that we should neglect planning for the future, nor our children's future. What he does teach us is that we cannot find meaning and joy in life by trying to secure the future for our children. We must do all we can to prepare them for the future, but ultimately their lives are in the hands of God. The occupation trap. It is not uncommon to find people who think their meaning in life will be found in their occupation. For what does a man get in all his labor, and in his striving with which he labors under the sun? Because all the days his task is painful and grievous, even at night. His mind does not rest. This too is a vapor. Chapter 2, verse 22 through 23. In Ecclesiastes, or Kohelet. Some people are workaholics. They seek to find their purpose in life by always working. In fact, almost all their conversations relate to their work or occupation. Unfortunately, if they never become unable to perform their tasks, it is as though they had lost their identity. This is why Kohelet, or Ecclesiastes, refers to work itself as a vapor. We must face the reality that our occupation does not define who we are. Rather, we must know that our work, our occupation, is merely a means to an end, not the end of it in itself. Working simply provides the necessary means to sustain ourselves so that we can accomplish the ultimate task, satisfying and honoring the name of God upon the earth. If our work or occupation is a means to an end and not an end in itself, then not only will we do better at our work, but in doing our work we will have the higher goal in mind. God will be honored. And when God is honored, we are also blessed. There is another trap in the whole realm of our occupation, and this is the pride that can come from doing the best job possible. Of course, doing the best job possible is good, and that for which each one should strive. Yet, taken to an extreme, doing a good job can grow into pride and arrogance. I have seen that every labor and every skill which is done in the result of rivalry between a man and his neighbor, this too is a vapor and striving after wind. Chapter 4, verse 4. Competition and striving for equality for good things It is often in context of healthy competition that greater work is done. But if one tries to find his or her meaning and joy in life simply by being the best at something, this is a vapor that will vanish, and Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, warns us not to place our hopes there. The health trap. Some people think they have found meaning in life by doing everything in their power to be healthy and protecting themselves from disease. Still, in our day, there are those who believe they have found the fountain of youth and are selling their ideas and products to those who want to stay young forever. Shlomo notes that both the wise and unwise die, and that there seems to be little proof that the wise man lives longer than the fool. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I know that one's fate befalls them both. Befalls them both. Then I said to myself, as is the fate of the fool, it will also befall me. Why then have I been extremely wise? So I said to myself, this too is a vapor. Chapter 2, verse 14 through 15. We have all known people who seem to eat poorly and disregard all manner of healthy options, but who nonetheless live longer than most. Conversely, we have seen those who carefully choose the wise course and die young. Shlomo is not telling us that we should disregard wisdom in matters of health. On the contrary, we should do all our power to maintain our health by wise and godly choices. But Shlomo's real point in this is that one's future health cannot be guaranteed. While it may be true that the majority of time those who eat healthy live longer, it is not always the case, and this seems incongruent to what should be, which, in Shlomo's point, indeed, death is the great equalizer. I said to myself concerning the sons of men, God has securely tested them in order for them to see that they are but beasts. For the fate of the sons of men and the fate of beasts is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. Indeed, they all have the same breath, and there is no advantage for man over beast, for all is vanity. Chapter 3, verse 18 through 19. In comparing man and beast, Shlomo is not denying the eternal nature of man's soul, nor is he negating the supremacy of man over beast, since man was created in God's image. What he is emphasizing, however, is that death comes both to man and beast, and in this morality, the two share a common element. Indeed, his point is simply that life is passing and no one can halt it. Rejoice, young man, during your childhood, and let your heart be pleasant during the days of young manhood, and follow the impulses of your heart and the desires of your eyes. Yet know that God will bring you to judgment for all these things. So remove grief and anger from your heart and put away pain from your body, because childhood and the prime of life is fleeting. Chapter 11, verses 9 through 10. This being the case, one who expects to find purpose and meaning in life by thinking he has guaranteed the future through wise choices is deluded. Tomorrow is guaranteed for no one. The pleasure trap. Perhaps there is nothing more that characterizes modern America than the desire for personal pleasure. With affluence of our society has come many voices promising every imaginable comfort. Some try to find this in exhilarating experiences, whether in testing one's own strength or fortitude or attempting a daredevil feat. Still others seek personal pleasure in the matter of intoxications. Shlomo had been there. I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure. So enjoy yourself, and behold, it too was fertility. Chapter 2, verse 11. I explored with my mind how to stimulate my body with wine, while my mind was guiding me wisely in how to take bold hold of folly, until I could see what good there is for the sons of men to do under heaven the few years of their lives. Chapter 2, verse 3. He also indulged in things that would bring a man pleasure, and found them all to be a vapor, a striving after the wind. I enlarged my works. I built houses for myself. I planted vineyards for myself. I made gardens and parks for myself, and I planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made ponds of water for myself, from which I irrigated a forest of growing trees. Also, I collected for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces. I provided for myself male and female singers, and the pleasures of men many concubines. Chapter 2, verse 4 through 6, and verse 8. Sometimes, in the pursuit of pleasure, a person acts the part of a fool, who, rather than face reality, jokes his way through life. Instead of stopping to contemplate life as it is, people use entertainment as a mask to cover their pain of reality. Granted, entertainment, especially comedy, can be a great relief, but it can also cloud the truth that needs to be faced. For as the crackling of thorn bushes, under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool, and this too is futility. Chapter 7, verse 6. Okay. I have a call at 10, so pretending that everything is okay when in fact it is not is the laughter of a fool. Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, equates it to the crackling of thorn bushes in the fire, a lot of noise but not very much heat. Surely, a superficial view of life in general cannot be the foundation for true meaning and joy. The religion trap. It might surprise us to realize that Kohelet also considers religion to be a possible trap. Like most of the other things he lists, religion can be very good, even a necessity. But it can also be a trap. Too often, true religion, humbly serving God by loving Him and doing His commandments, is masked by religious ceremony and trappings. And sometimes people come to the conclusion that true meaning is to be found in these ceremonies and religious activities. Guard your steps as you go to the house of God, and draw near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools. For they do not know they are doing evil. Do not be hasty in word or impulsive in thought to bring up a matter in the presence of God. For God is in heaven, and you are on the earth. Therefore let your words be few, for the dream comes through much effort, and the voice of a fool through many words. When you make a vow to God, do not be late in paying it, for He takes no delight in fools. Pay what you vow. If it is better that you should not vow than you should vow and not pay. Do not let your speech cause you to sin, and do not say in the presence of the messenger of God that this is a mistake. Why should God be angry on account of your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For in many dreams and in many words there is emptiness. Rather, fear God. Chapter 5, verses 1 through 7. Shlomo realized that trying to play religion was dangerous. Going through the motions as a means of trying to find meaning in life could arouse God's anger rather than His blessings. What is more, he understood that often in the realm of man's religion there is an emptiness. The dreams and visions of men do not open the throne room of God. What is more, people often make their involvement in religious activities an end in itself rather than a means to an end. True religion is a response to God, not a means of getting Him on your side. When religious activities become an end in itself, it has become an idol. Our goal ought to be God Himself. Worship must be direct to Him. And if the act of worship becomes the end of worship, it has ceased to be worship. Shlomo observed another thing in the whole realm of religion. There is an apparent disconnect between reward for righteousness and punishment for unrighteousness. The righteous seem to suffer more than the unrighteous. I have seen everything during my lifetime as a vapor. There is a righteous man who perishes in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man who prolongs his life in his wickedness. But do not be exceedingly righteous, and do not be overly wise. Why should you ruin yourself? Do not be excessively wicked, and do not be a fool. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you grasp the one thing and also not let the other go of the other. For the one who fears God comes forth with both of them. Chapter 7, verses 15 through 18. In fact, engaging in true service to God and men is often very difficult. It may bring personal sorrow, even though it is true religion. You can see James 1:27 for this. Serving God in truth means entering a battle where pain and injury can be inflicted. Yet even in the most diligent service of God, the doing can become the focus rather than God's victory. Ministry can become one's focus and even one's God. And when this happens, God's... Hold on, I gotta change the page. Blessing is removed and disappointment is inevitable. It is an amazing thing that what begins as desire to worship the one true God can easily become idolatry. But it is the subtle deception of our own wayward hearts that allows this to happen. We become so enthralled that our religion that we forget God and his definition of religion. And in this deception, we think we found a source for meaning and joy in life. This too is a vapor. Where then is meaning of joy to be found? I have listed 6 categories that often are thought to be the source of meaning and joy in life: money, prestige, occupation, health, pleasure, and religion. Each of these categories contain good, God-given things, and each, to one's extent or another, are necessary in life. Yet Kohelet has also shown that each of these can be transitory and fleeting. Like the wonderful fragrance of a flower that lasts for only a moment, so while these things may be good, they are not the source of true meaning and joy in life. So what is Kohelet's answer? Where does one find meaning and joy? His answer is at first shocking, but then profound. There is nothing better for a man than to eat and drink and tell himself that his labor is good. This also I have seen that it is from the hand of God. Chapter 2, verse 23. Here is what I have seen to be good and fitting: to eat, to drink, and to enjoy oneself and all one's labor in which he toils under the sun during the few years of his life which God has given him, for this is his reward. Chapter 5, verse 8. So I commanded pleasure. Therefore there is nothing good for a man under the sun except to eat and drink and to be merry, and this will stand by him in his toils throughout the days of his life which God has given him under the sun. Chapter 8, verse 15. Go then, eat your bread in happiness, and drink your wine in cheerful heart, for God has already approved your words. Chapter 9, verse 7. Enjoy life with the woman whom you love all the days of your fleeting life, which he has given to you under the sun, for this is your reward in life and your toil in which you have labored under the sun. Chapter 9, verse 9. The common denominator of each of these texts is the simple pleasure of eating and drinking. But it is clear what Kohelet means by this is that time spent with family and friends around a common table is not the profound and expansive applications of mankind that bring meaning and joy, but the unpretentious everyday routine of eating together. Sitting with family and friends to eat after one's day's labor, laughing, enjoying the friendship around the table, finding a moment to cheer together, enjoying the companionship of one's spouse. These are the small yet profound moments in which we recognize an even greater truth. We were created for a relationship, and it is in relationship with others and God that we find true meaning and joy. But how do we do this consistently? How do we take on a lifestyle that honestly considers relationship to be more valuable than anything else? How does this kind of thinking become the pattern of our decisions and action? The answer is given very clearly in the eloquent of Kohelet. Epilogue, of Kohelet. My Sukkot thing is flying over me right now. It's like the wind is blowing. The conclusion, then, my brothers and sisters, when all has been heard, is fear God. Keep his commandments, because this applies to every person. In his last remarks, never take a scene of beauty for granted or the wonders of God's creation as common. Each of these are the moments in life given to grant us meaning and joy. Seize them. Bless God for them, and return to your labors with renewed thanksgiving for life itself. Chag Sukkot 57:62. I wanted to just bring that up and read it to you guys because we get trapped in our traps. And when we don't keep him and the things that are true at focus, then we're going to have anxiety and fear and hatred and anger and every other negative emotion. It's just going to be a miserable life. So we read Ecclesiastes during Sukkot to prove that this is the joy of God. So I hope this helps bring you joy yourselves. And until next time, Shabbat Shalom. Or it's not Shabbat, sorry, it's Shalom. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be upon you.